right, I'm back. It's Friday. It's been a couple Fridays. I'm really sorry. We had no internet for 14 days. It's a new thing that we learned about moving to Florida is waiting for the internet service providers to fix their situations. It's not always easy. And so now I'm going to try to sneak this in because next to us, they're building a house and it's been like a fiesta starting at 6:30 in the morning, going to about 7 at night. So hopefully you guys and girls can hear me. You can see I'm setting up our new pain cave back there. Anyway, I'm trying to bring you guys back up to speed. Hopefully everybody's having a great new year to start with. 2018 I know is going to be awesome. One of the things that I know that everybody's going to be focusing right now is losing weight and base season and getting ready for next year. And one of the most critical things that you can do right is get intensity right. That's one of the things I tell people when I do a lot of conferences is if you get nothing else right, get intensity right, because it sets up everything. And so often people will go harder because they can, doesn't necessarily mean that they should. So zone 2, this is something that I always try to use inspiration from things that I talk about my new athletes with. When we use things like calculators, when we do our FTP tests or we go out and we do those things and we put them into a calculator, you know, at a certain point, it's not the calculator's fault. They have to make a decision on how they're going to calculate the zones based on the results that you're giving it. And 9 times out of 10, people will use their FTP, which is the power or pace that you can sustain for about a 30-minute effort. And then they will calculate the rest of their zones off of that. I can tell you right now, if you're super fit or super unfit, your zone 2, which is extremely important, can vary a lot from that. So for example, when I was really fit, I was able to keep my zone 2 within 8 heartbeats of my FTP for the bike, and for the run. So I was very much conditioned for Ironman training and long course. I had lots of years, and I learned then that I could actually sustain a much higher level. Anyway, if you don't have an opportunity to get to a VO2 max testing because some of them are not available to people, they do have some cost associated with them. And then if you do get to a VO2 test, you want to make sure that they run the right protocol, because 9 times out of 10, most protocols are set up to show you your VO2 max, which relative to performance is one of the least indicators that will predict performance. You really need to know your breakpoints, your thresholds for your zone 2, as well as for your FTP. And if you go too fast at the beginning of the test, you're going to miss your zone 2. So what I thought I'd teach you guys is kind of a field test hack for how you can kind of get your zone 2 and make sure that the calculators are giving you something that is actually pretty accurate. By definition, the scientific balance point of your zone 2 is your body's ability to go as fast as it can, work as hard as it can, and still use fat as an efficient fuel source. Now, what makes that happen is the presence of oxygen in the blood. So as long as you have enough oxygen and you're using your slow twitch fiber and you can fuel those slow twitch fibers, you can continue to burn fat as a fuel source. So if you want to check your zone 2, a good way to do that is start out nice and easy, slowly ramp up the speed just a little bit in whatever you're doing, and pay attention to when your breathing changes. Not when it gets labored, but when it starts changing from normal, because that will indicate to you that you're starting to look for more oxygen because your body cannot keep up. So keep an eye on that. Monitor that a few times. You can use that as your warm-up for almost every day. That's a test you can do literally every day, every time you go work out, and start to track that. And if you ever have the ability to do an FTP test or a VO2 max test on a metabolic cart, you can see what your observations of your breakpoint when your breathing starts to change, because really that's what that apparatus is measuring, is when your carbon dioxide to oxygen rate starts to change. So, and that is directly correlated to how fast you start to breathe, because as you start to get rid of the toxins and stuff like that in your blood. So that's my hack as you start to get into base season and you want to make sure that you're not overtraining your zone 2. I can tell you from having owned a metabolic cart and been doing a lot of tests, you can in 2 or 3 heartbeat really change your fat metabolism by up to 10-15% sometimes. So if you get in the habit, group stuff is really good and it's really fun. Trust me, I like to do that stuff too, but you want to also know why you're doing it, and you want to make sure you know what your specific limiters are. So going back to me, when I was really fit in my zone 2, I had to train muscular endurance in zone 2. So that's another reason why I would do weight training, because it was hard to get enough strain on the body through something that you can do literally thousands of reps with, because if you're doing pedaling at 100 RPM or running at 90 RPM, you're doing thousands of reps. So that's where weight training, which we're going to talk about here in the next one of these, plays a role, is you can put stress on the body to force adaptation. So zone 2, get it right, check your breathing. That's where the old talk test comes from. So sometimes, our elders told us sometimes those pan out to be right. So Happy New Year, everyone. I'm glad the music didn't go crazy for us, so I'm not going to get greedy with my time or yours, and make sure that I can stop this before this turns into a fiesta. So if you have any questions at all, superflycoaching.com. We're doing our free camp for our members coming up in February in Claremont. I'm really excited to see everybody who's signed up for that. So anyway, take it easy. Let's make this year kick ass. Bye.